seem like everybody we know is going through some form of attack these days? Life is hard. Haven't we all had ups and downs in life's journey? Can't we all identify partially with Job? If you haven't read Job recently, at least read the first 2 chapters and 38 through 42. The rest of it's all the accusation stuff. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, in the beginning, Job is a very wealthy man. He owns thousands of sheep and goats and has 10 children. God challenges Satan and says, "Have you seen my servant Job? He's the most righteous man in all the world." Satan says, "He only worships you because you bless him so much. Pull away your favor and he'll curse your name." God says, "You can test him, but do not touch his life." In one fateful day, Job's sheep and goats are stolen and destroyed by hailstorms. His 10 children perish. Can you even imagine what that must have felt like? How many know the song, "It Is Well With My Soul"? That famous hymn was written by Horatio Spafford when he was going through some terrible times in his own life. The first event was his only son died at the age of 4. That was shortly followed by the Great Chicago Fire, which destroyed him financially. He had been a successful lawyer. In 1873, he'd planned to travel to Europe with his family. Some zoning issues arose from the fire, and he sent his family on before him. In the middle of the Atlantic, the ship rapidly sank, killing his 4 daughters. His wife survived and sent the now famous telegram, "Saved alone." He traveled a couple weeks later to help his grieving wife, and almost to the point where he lost his daughters, he wrote that famous hymn. He had to put his past behind him in order to move forward. Once again, God challenges Satan. Can't you just see God just digging him in the back? "Have you seen my servant Job, the most righteous man in all the world?" Satan says, "He only worships you because you have favor on him. Pull away your blessing and he'll curse your name." God says, "You can test him, but do not strike his life." Job ends up with these hideous boils all over his body and joints that just ached from movement, to the point where he sits in the dust, scraping his body with broken clay pots, cursing the day he was born. Can you imagine that pain? His wife says, "God has obviously turned his back upon you. Curse him and die." Job says, we worship God in good and bad times. His 3 best friends come and verbally abuse him and accuse him of all of his troubles on his sinful nature. Job replies, "I have not sinned." They leave and Job starts the pity party, questioning God and challenging him. "Why is this happening to me?" God, getting agitated, thunders back, "Where were you when I created the earth? Where were you when I hung the sun, the moon, the stars in the sky? Where were you when I created the deer, the bear, the eagle, the fish? Where were you when I created every living thing?" We've all been there. Job repents, declares God's majesty. Still agitated, God tells Job's 3 friends, You need to take an offering to Job, and you need to beg his forgiveness because you misrepresented me. At the end of the book, we find that Job, every one of his possessions is exactly doubled. The story is more than just God's provision, enemy attack, and restoration and renewal. It's about giving up your past. If you were Job, would you worry about what you had lost? Or could you live in the present restoration that God had provided? We have to give up our past to move forward. One evening on the Daystar Celebration show, Rhonda Davis gave this moving testimony. She had been married to Hank Davis. They seemed to have the perfect lifestyle in San Diego. Big, beautiful home, money, successful business, perfect life. Hank was a successful contractor until he became addicted to cocaine. In a short 16 months, Rhonda watched their business, marriage, and lives crumble before them. During 3 years of separation, Hank accepted the Lord and a call to the ministry. Rhonda was dealing with her own emotions across the country. One day she had a vision. She was standing in front of the house that they had lived in. God said, "I want you to walk in the door." She obviously didn't want to. "Go ahead, I'll be with you." She walked in the door, and the emotions overwhelmed her. She began to cry. And she heard somebody else crying. She looked over her shoulder in the corner, and there was Jesus kneeling on the floor, crying. When you cried, I cried with you. When you hurt, I hurt. I was with you every step of the way. You have to give me your pain. I can take it. During a revival in Georgia, God performed a miracle and restored their marriage. They gave up their past to move forward. In John 14:27, Jesus promised us, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." When the life storms arise and pound us from every direction, remember, Jesus in the boat with his disciples. The disciples thought the storms were going to destroy them, but Jesus was asleep in the front of the boat at peace. Verse 39, then he arose, rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased. And there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? Do you not have any faith?" God bought all of our pain, past, and worries with a price that can never be paid. Jesus is saying, "Give me your past. My whipped back can take it. Give me your pain. My nail-scarred hands are reaching for it. Give me your troubles. My arms can carry you." When Jesus hung on that cross, he bought it all. Can you give him your pain?